Welcome to Shalom World's Beyond the Vision, a show that features faith-based film and television. I'm your host, Joelle Maryn, and today we're going behind the new TV series, Young David.
David is probably one of the most well-known biblical stories and characters. There's not a lot about him in regards to film or television.
The episodes has a very specific character and value theme as he kind of grew to become this amazing man of God that would be eventually the chosen king of Israel.
We're blessed to be joined by Erick Goss, who is Minno's CEO and co-founder, and Jess Wolstenholm, who is a VP for Education and Publishing. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks so much, Joelle. Good to be here.
Erick, I'd love to start with you and find out, how did you get involved and what led you to the development of this series?
We got involved with the project shortly after we started our company, Minno, M-I-N-N-O. And the name Minno is based on the Greek word for abide from John 15. And really the heart of our company is what can we do to help kids and their parents experience Jesus every day through media. And when we were talking to the studio that was looking for financing and a development partner, we were knocked out by what they were doing. But the other thing that we were really struck by is there's really not that many biblical characters that sort of encapsulate this idea of walking with God and living moment by moment with God than the character of David. And so when we saw that, we were just like, this is an amazing opportunity for us to bring to film, to bring to video. Really the heart of our company is, what does it mean for us to help kids understand what does it mean to walk with God moment by moment throughout their lives?
Yes, I'm so glad you said that, because that is what I noticed when I watched the series. It is about walking with God and what that actually looks like. And it's very important to see those tender moments, and that it's not always easy, right? But that things can be overcome when you're walking with God. Jess, I'd like to switch over to you for a minute. What was the process like for making the animation with the characters, the scenery, and even the biblical topics that you came up with for this series?
It was such an amazing experience. We worked with a studio out of South Africa called Sunrise Productions, and they are just incredibly talented. They have a group of creatives that come from just all the top animation companies that you could think of that are Jesus followers, that are Christ followers, that want to use their gifts to elevate the kingdom. And so this was just a great partner for this idea. And they put so much thought into everything from the way that they developed the characters to the way that they developed the scenery. So they took multiple trips to Israel to make sure that they got all the details right of what the landscape would have been like, what even the clay pots would have looked like. Everything that you see on screen in the Young David production is so authentic because of all the thought that they put into it. And then we put the same amount of thought into the themes that we chose to go into each of the episodes. So each of the 5 episodes has a very specific character and value theme of what young David would have been developing in his life, in his heart, as he kind of grew to become this amazing man of God that would be eventually the chosen king of Israel. And so each of the scripts has very important moments of him interacting with God and with his faith that helped develop him into this man that would one day lead God's people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Erick, why did you decide to focus on David? Why is that character so important? And how is this series different than the other ones that are out there, and from a business front, that made you want to get involved in it?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things. When we think about what we're trying to accomplish with Minno and helping kids experience Jesus every day, you don't necessarily, you're kind of looking, what's a way where they can see this on screen, not just talk about the Bible and talk about walking with God, but where they can actually see someone living that faith out. And, David is described as a man after God's own heart. And one of the questions is, how did he become that way? He didn't just become a man after God's own heart overnight. That was a process of him growing up as a child, learning what are those moments where I can trust God. And I know that in my time of need, that my first response shouldn't be trying to solve it or being self-sufficient, but actually reaching out and calling on the Lord. And so when we saw this project, we were like, this is perfect. We loved it. And then the second, in regards to how is it different, I think this is unique. I've had a number of people tell me this is the best Christian children's media production they've ever seen. And I think that's right. Like, there's nothing in the marketplace with the type of animation and the quality of the animation. But the other thing that's unique about this is the storytelling and the music. It's really breathtaking. And we've done this over five-minute episodes. It's really about showing the art of the possible. But I think anyone who sees it will be blown away at what's possible with the right type of funding and the right type of talent and the right type of ideas.
Yeah, and there's a lot to break down of what you just said. First of all, going back a second, when you said it's teaching us to not be self-sufficient and think that we could do things on our own, what a great thing to tell the youth, because the world is saying, oh, you could be your own God. And this is saying, no, you need God. And, you know, the Lord is Lord of Lords and King of Kings, and to call upon his name and not think that we could do everything on our own and that we're participating. So it's so important in this culture to have that theme right now. But also, like you said, the quality of this production, the music, the effects, you know, and even the scripting is incredible. Jess, I know you were involved with some of the scripting. Can you share a little bit more about that process?
You know, back to what Erick said too, about wanting kids to see this on screen. You know, there's a lot of talk about representation in children's media, and we feel so passionate about kids, Christian kids, and Jesus following kids, to be able to see their faith represented on screen. And so, as Erick said, we thought this is the perfect opportunity for kids to see a young person, a biblical character, you know, living out his life and really seeing what that looks like from the day to day. And so we took a lot of thought with that in the scripting and making sure everything from, you know, the big picture story arc down to the very key lines that David uses when he's interacting with God. We didn't overdo it. We really wanted it to be very natural. We didn't want the show to feel like it was being very teachy, or we wanted it to feel very organic so that kids can see, oh, this is what it looks like to just organically live my life with God and following him and growing in him and relying on him, as Erick said. And so, you know, the scripts are not long. They were 5 minutes. But so much time and thought went into every little detail of the action and the story arc and the lines and the way that he interacted with God. Very subtle prayers, you know, or very subtle visual cues where he just looks up to heaven, and you know the child knows that's watching, knows he's looking to God, and I can do that. And so that was so important to us, and it's why we took so much time and thought in those scripts.
Yeah, well, it definitely shows. And like you said, it's not preachy. It just comes across as bringing, you know, the audience into the experience and just seeing what things could have looked like. And it's done very beautifully. Erick, going a little bit deeper into that, who is your target audience? Like, what age group? And what are you hoping that they actually feel and experience when they view these episodes?
Yeah, it's interesting because when we think about Minno and our primary service, we really think about young Christian families that we're trying to reach. But with young David, I really look at it as a global audience, and it's both adults and it's young kids. In Hollywood, people talk about a 4-quadrant film as being boys and girls, and then men and women above the age of 18 and under the age of 18. And we really look at this as a 4-quadrant film globally, primarily because David is probably one of the most well-known biblical stories and characters, but there really is there's not a lot about him in regards to film or television. And so we think that there's a huge audience for this. We expect Christian audiences audiences to really love this, but we also expect Jewish audiences or any audience that has some kind of connection to the biblical narrative. Because again, this is not necessarily going to be something that's really preachy. It's going to be describing a biblical character who actually is a character from history. And I think anyone who's got interest in that, but also interest in family entertainment, is really going to be moved by this, because the story of David, for people of faith, it has a strong faith message. But even if you're not familiar with the Bible or familiar with faith, you're going to be interested in seeing this, because it's going to be a great story and it's going to be inspirational about how a young man actually became a king.
Yeah, I think that's important, that it reaches actually a wider audience than we could realize, that so many people are interested in this. I believe that in the depths of all of our hearts, we're just looking for goodness, and it's so important to bring that into the media, especially to the youth. Now, so we get to view this series. It looks incredible. It looks so beautiful, what we get to see. We know that things don't happen without trials and challenges, though. So, Jess, can you share with us any production challenges that you had? And were there any miracles or moments of God's special providence that helped you out in the midst of it?
Yeah, working with the team was absolutely incredible, because everyone, like I said, is so talented. But of course, you're always to see those challenges, and some of those are just how long it takes to do animation. It is a very, very intricate process, and so getting our deadlines in order and making sure that we meet those, and then of course, once you release one story, everybody wants more and more and more, and they want it fast, and it just doesn't always come that fast. And so really having to get that pipeline going and keep that going, so that we could get all the episodes. And we did it. It was miraculous, but we got all the episodes and they're out, and it's so exciting. The other big thing, I think, is the music. Erick mentioned the music. The music in 2 of the episodes are mostly music. And it's always challenging to add another creative process to the mix. So, you have your animation, and then we have the music. And so we did hit some bumps in the road, but I will tell you what, those songs are so anointed and so incredible that, I know that God was in it. And even though we hit those challenges, he is coming out being so glorified through those songs. So it was worth every hurdle we had to jump.
That's amazing. Yeah, and to do the first episode first and then see that people started liking it and come out with more and more, it is a lot of times God just asks us to take that first step forward, and then all else falls into place. A lot of times the things we worry about don't even come to pass, right? But we need to just walk whether we feel afraid or not. So thank you for taking that on. Thank you for continuing to push forward. I agree with you. I think it's anointed, all of it. It's art, and God is the creator of art. So thank you again. And I would just love to find out, Erick, if you could tell us how we can watch Young David.
So there are 2 places that people can watch Young David today. So the first is they can go to our website at GoMinno, GoMinno.com, or they can go to their favorite app store and download our Minno app. Our Minno app, it costs $8.99 per month and $70 a year. And you can sign up for a 7-day free trial and check it out and see how you like it. You can also go to Angel Studios. They're our partners in distributing this. And so you can go to Angel Studios website, angel.com, and check out Young David there as well.
Thank you so much. Well, it's wonderful. And I'm just so excited for people to watch Young David. So thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. God bless. For all of you watching, Young David is a well-made and adorable TV series that sets a good example of what a life of walking with God truly looks like. I can't wait for you to see it, and I hope to see you again real soon. God be with you. Shalom.
10 years of sharing the peace of Christ. Shalom World, God's own channel.